By the time Livia Drusilla's eldest son, Tiberius, returned from the east, having successfully retrieved Rome's missing battle standards from Armenia, and having crowned Tigranes III as Armenia's new king, her youngest son, Drusus, was just starting out on a military career of his own. Drusus, whose name at birth was Decimus Claudius Nero, was born approximately 3 months after Livia married her second husband, Caesar Augustus. Flying in the face of widespread rumors that Rome's new Caesar had made a cuckold of Livia's first husband, Caesar Augustus dispatched the newborn Decimus to the house of his father soon after his birth. Alongside his brother Tiberius, who was approximately 5 years older, Decimus was raised by and received his earliest forms of education from his father, Tiberius Claudius Nero. Nero had served as a legate under Julius Caesar when the then dictator had been besieged within Alexandria's royal palace in 48 BC. Despite being awarded a prestigious priesthood by Julius Caesar and the right to create colonies in Gaul, Nero positioned himself in opposition to the Caesarian party when he motioned that the Senate honor Brutus and Cassius for their decision to assassinate Rome's dictator. Following the battles of Philippi, Nero then sided with Fulvia and Lucius Antonius against the tyranny of the Second Triumvirate and afterwards fled, first to Sicily and then to Greece, with his wife and son in tow. Once they reached the town of Sparta, Nero took up the cause of Marcus Antonius. Only after the Treaty of Misenum ended the proscriptions in 39 BC could Nero, who had stood against Caesar Augustus at every turn, bring his son and now pregnant wife back home. In Rome, Livia Drusilla, Nero's wife, in spite of being with child, quickly became an object of desire for Caesar Augustus, a rustic man whose unglamorous birth heritage likely longed for her noble Claudian ancestry just as much as his less political passions desired her physical beauty. By the time Decimus was born, Livia was the wife of Caesar Augustus, and for his troubles, Tiberius Claudius Nero had regained his confiscated properties, along with a second son. Sometime around 34 or 33 BC, Nero died and Decimus and his older brother Tiberius both went to live with their mother Livia and stepfather Caesar Augustus. Decimus's legal name was changed to Drusus Claudius Nero, likely around this time, probably as a means of carrying on the family name. Having lived in a smaller household up to this time, one wonders how Drusus, who was approximately 4 or 5 years old, may have adjusted to being suddenly thrust into a household busy with the activities of so many children. His new stepsister, Julia, was only a few months older than he, and the house was often filled with her cousins, Marcellus and his 4 sisters, as they all studied their lessons together under the supervision of pedagogues. As with his brother Tiberius, Drusus's public life was fast-tracked under the patronage of his stepfather. In 19 BC, he was granted the honor of standing for public offices a full 5 years ahead of the legal age. The Senate elected Drusus to the office of quaestor for the 15 BC year, putting him in charge of managing public finances. But before long, Drusus, who had recently married Antonilla, the youngest daughter of Marcus Antonius and Octavia, was summoned to Gaul by Caesar Augustus. Marcus Lollius, the legate Augustus had placed in charge of Gallia Comata, had responded to raids from German tribes who were crossing the Rhine River to invade, pillage, and destroy towns deep within Rome's Gallic territory. Taking command of the Legio V, Alaudae, Marcus Lollius marched his legions across the Rhine to seek out the offending alliance of tribes made up of the Tencteri, Usipetes, and the Sugambri. But the alliance of tribes had anticipated the arrival of Lollius. Lying in wait, the tribes ambushed Marcus Lollius, and the Legio V Alaudae's battle standards were captured by the Germans. Having only recently repossessed the battle standards lost in the east, Rome's pride was now wounded anew. Caesar Augustus left Rome in the spring of 16 BC to assess the situation. His goal was to determine just how an invasion across the Rhine River might yield up the conquest of Germania. With Marcus Agrippa busy in the eastern provinces, Augustus turned to his stepsons. He first summoned the 26-year-old Tiberius to Gaul to replace Marcus Lollius as governor, with instructions to reorganize the area. But if Germania was to be conquered, it would have to be approached from two directions, and for that, Caesar Augustus would need to subjugate the central Alpine region around the upper Danuvius, or Danube River. The Rhaeti tribes, in an alliance with the Vendeliti, constantly harassed and raided the Roman towns of Aquileia, Verona, and Histria. Although he was only 23 years old and had no previous military experience, Drusus was ordered by Caesar Augustus to march several legions into the central Alpine area. Drusus did as he was commanded and very quickly learned the art of war, soundly defeating the Rhaeti at the Second Battle of Tridentum in 15 BC. Drusus then led his soldiers into the Alps, entering from the south, and began making his way towards Germania. Not only did Drusus defeat many more tribes at the Central Alps along the way, but he improved the passes by building several roads over which Rome's legions could more easily traverse the mountains in winter time. Tiberius, at the head of his legions, discovered the source of the Danuvius River at the point where the Brigac and Breg rivers converged. He then followed the Danuvius eastward toward the Alps, eventually meeting up with his brother. As the two armies united, the sons of Livia Drusilla successfully defeated the Vendeliti tribe in battle. After Drusus planted a military base near the defeated Vendeliti to prevent another uprising, he and Tiberius marched their forces east along the Danuvius, entering into the kingdom of Noricum. Drusus and Tiberius executed the orders given them by their stepfather to annex Noricum, famed for its high-quality iron and gold, despite the kingdoms having enjoyed a good relationship with Rome. Taking Noricum's capital city of Magdalensburg without a struggle, Noricum officially became part of Rome's territory. Tiberius had already been celebrated for the return of Armenia's lost standards, but together with his younger brother Drusus, the sons of Livia Drusilla had now defeated the Rhaeti and the Vendeliti tribes, established multiple military camps along the Danuvius River, and extended the boundaries of Rome to include a territory rich with iron and gold. Their military successes made them heroes in the hearts of the Roman people. Upon reuniting with Caesar Augustus in Gaul, the two young men learned that their stepfather's plan for an invasion of Germania had come together. Rather than the Rhine River being the natural border dividing Gaul from Germania, Caesar Augustus saw the possibility of extending the border further into Germania's interior to the Elbe River, achievable through military conquest. At the town of Lugdunum, or modern-day Lyon, Drusus was officially appointed Legatus Augusti pro praetore, or Augustus's legate with pro-praetorial powers. Drusus was officially made the governor of the newly reorganized Gallia Comata, with instructions to begin building the largest military infrastructure of its day. Both major and minor fortifications were to be constructed along the Rhine River, as well as a canal through which Rome's warships could travel to reach the Wadden Sea. All of these would be connected by a series of roads designed to decrease travel time between camps for Rome's legions. Tiberius was ordered to march his legions to Illyricum, where he would prosecute the war from the other side of the Alps and also serve as military support for his father-in-law, Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, who had been recalled from the east to aid Caesar Augustus in his endeavor. Agrippa would begin the conquest of Pannonia in the region around the upper Danuvius River to help clear the way for a two-pronged attack against the tribes of Germania. With Drusus in Gaul and Tiberius in Illyricum, both of Livia's sons were now poised to become invaluable in Rome's conquest and subjugation of Germania. Not only had their brief military actions to date brought them to the attention of Rome's legions, many of whom had not favored Augustus' nephew Marcellus as their potential commander, but the Germanian campaign would offer them yet more opportunities. Achieving such a glorious military victory as the conquest of Germania would go a long way towards guaranteeing Tiberius and Drusus the future respect and loyalty of the legions. and the Senate, many of whom already favored pedigreed ancestry, would also be inclined to support her Claudian sons, as they had once supported Marcellus, another Claudian. Unfortunately for Livia Drusilla, everything changed at once. While stationed in Campania, preparing to march his legions into Pannonia, Livia Drusilla's ally, Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, the father-in-law of her eldest son and the second man in Rome, died suddenly of what appeared to be natural causes.